Hello and welcome to Wow Embossing YouTube channel. My name is Aditi and I am back with mixed media inspiration for y'all. Today I am going to be playing with the new release Wow Trios, the Dappled Pearl Effects. These are three beautiful embossing glitters by Marion and they come in this new pot, and I always swatch on white and black just to see how it looks on both surfaces. We have Oceanside. So that's a look at the shimmer there with the glitter. And we have Laguna. So I will be playing with these and creating a set of mixed media ATC cards and just showing you how I build layers with my embossing powders. So first up, I have a piece of watercolor cardstock here. Now this cardstock I readily get in the A6 size. I have just drawn a line to divide my paper. I will first emboss, create a few layers, and then cut it down to the size of an ATC card. Generally, an ATC card is 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. I tend to keep it slightly bigger than that. We'll see. So as of now, I have it as 2.75 by 5.5. I definitely will be trimming it down. I will not keep it to 5.5, but we'll see. So for my first step now, what I want to use Laguna and Oceanside. So I'll set this one aside and I will use my embossing ink pad with a brayer. So just nicely rolling the brayer on my ink pad. I will rub that on my card base here on the paper. I just like to do that in both directions and then sprinkle the embossing powder. So on one side I will use Oceanside, on the other side I will use Laguna. And I'm using a paintbrush that I use for all embossing powders and just dabbing off because I want this background texture to look a little more organic, creating this cool effect to begin with. I'm repeating that same process here on the other side. Now bringing my Wow Heat tool and embossing this on the second heat setting. And that is a look at that first texture we have. For the next texture, I am going to use a stencil. So this is a funky fossil stencil called Focus. And I will apply snowflake paste through the stencil. And I've not covered the entire surface, just randomly here and there. And while this is still wet, I am going to sprinkle embossing powder over this. So bringing in my new pot, I am going to sprinkle all over this embossed texture. And what that does is it goes and gets attached to that embossing paste. Again, I've not covered the entire region, just here and there. And that effect is quite cool and gives another level of texture and dimension. I am actually going to set this aside for a minute or two to settle in before embossing this. And that is a look at that emboss glitter over that embossing paste, giving us all this fluffy, bubbly, rich texture for a second layer. I have these fussy cut elements that have been in my stash for years, and today I thought it's a good idea to put them to use. These were from a very old AB Studio paper pack, I think one of the first few collections that she came up with. So I don't even know if these are available anymore, but I think they perfectly match the colors that I have in mind and can make for good focal elements. So that's something that I will be using. Before that, I want to add a little black stamping. So I have a background stamp here from All and Create, and I will be using this with black ink to add little touches of black, which always helps all the other colors pop, adds that contrast. Plus, since I'm all about mixed media layers, especially today, this will just add yet another dimension. I will add white and black splatter while I'm here before trimming this down. So I'm just bringing my rag cloth and my white and black acrylic ink. And now I am going to trim these down. So I will trim off a little excess from the side. With that, I have two cards ready. And I want to mount these on pieces of black cardstock. So I am going to use some scrap black cardstock. Just to give it a little nice border. I think it really accentuates everything. And now I'm actually going to first measure so I know what my dimensions are. So that's 2 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. I will cut a piece of black cardstock which is 3 by 4, and that should work perfectly well to give me that outline. And I will use some foam to give depth and dimension between the two layers. I think that always adds just so much more interest, just like that. And now I'll work on a composition. I am not yet gluing these down, but just playing around building a little cluster that I like for these ATCs. That's a look with all the elements glued down. And now for one final touch, I am going to use Wow's Sparkling Sugar, again a new release, and add bling to my ATCs. I will do this with glossy accent. So I'm just going to apply little glossy accent all around my elements, just dabbing and dotting so that I can then sprinkle the sparkling sugar and it adheres to wherever I have the glossy accents. So I am going to add imagination and inspiration. I think that just is so perfect for these ATCs. And that's it. So that is a closer look at all that dimension, texture, sparkle. I absolutely adore these, the way they've turned out, and I hope that you like them too. The same techniques can be used on cards, art journal pages, like I always say, and like I always say, they can be applied to any project really. I really hope that you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to reading your comments and seeing your creations inspired by my tutorial. Until the next time, take care and bye bye.